Hello everybody, welcome to the Saroy channel. I really appreciate all you listeners and I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. I've got a lovely story for you that you're really going to enjoy. So let's get started. It comes from Nina, all the way from California, and it's a very special story. She calls it the pizza party. Let's get started. Dear Sarah, my name is Nina. And my Bigfoot encounter happened in the summer of 2013 here in California. I was a divorcee at the time, who was now married to my second husband, Clark. I had inherited a stepson called Eric, who was only 12 years old at the time, and we also had a kid of our own, Mark, who was 5. My other child, Ethan, who was now 16, lived with my ex-husband in Manchester in England, and we made frequent arrangements for him to stay with me in California at least once a year for 3 weeks. It was Ethan's summer vacation and he had come to stay in our cozy Californian home. He had grown up so fast. He was now 16 years old, over 6 foot tall, and very well built for a boy of his age. I was not surprised to find that he was in fact the captain of the football team at his school in England. I noticed that Ethan's American accent had faded, and I could hear that he had gained a very distinctive Manchester drawl. I also noticed that he was a huge practical joker, much to my growing annoyance. The target of all his practical jokes was Eric, Clark's 12-year-old son. Ethan had placed a roach in Eric's shoe one day and was delighted by the horrified look on Eric's face when he crunched the roach with his feet as he put on his shoes. Ah! Then another time Eric had found a snake in his bed and screamed to high heaven, "Oh, oh!" It was only a harmless grass snake, but poor Eric did not know this at the time, and the incident completely freaked him out. Then the final straw for me was when Ethan put earthworms into Eric's pasta and watched in delight as Eric took a mouthful of wiggling earthworms that were covered in Parmesan cheese and tomato sauce. "Oh, yuck! Your expression," he said, hooting with laughter. "It's a picture." I could see that Eric was not coping with all Ethan's practical jokes, and I was not happy with my son's crazy ideas. He was behaving like a buffoon, I thought. "Why are you picking on your little stepbrother?" I commanded. "You keep terrifying him with your jokes, and they're not funny, not one little bit." "Oh, come on, Mum. It's no big deal. It's only a bit of fun." "Is there not something a little bit more constructive you could do with your time?" I asked him. "How about going for a walk in the woods, or going running around the area? There's a lot you can do here in California, you know." Eric was having his birthday in a few days, and I suggested that he invited his friends over for a pool party and a pizza eating competition. "The child who eats the most pizza will win a prize," I declared. I thought it would be such a wonderful idea. Eric loved the idea. We had a large pizza oven on the entertainment area of our patio that overlooked our large, beautiful kidney-shaped swimming pool. It was the perfect setting for a wonderful children's party, I thought. It was all going to be so much fun, and Eric was eagerly messaging all his friends to invite them. "Oh, Mum!" he cried out in delight. "All my friends are raving over the pizza eating competition idea. It's a brilliant idea. I'm so excited." Unfortunately, I did receive a phone call from an irate mother who was not happy about my pizza eating competition idea. "Is that Nina?" she asked. "Yes, it is," I replied. "This is Amelia Harris speaking. I'm Trevor's mother." "Oh, yes," I said, "I do remember." "Well," she tattered, "I'm not happy about this pizza eating competition. You know, obesity is such a huge issue in this country, and you're encouraging our kids to pig out. I'm afraid Trevor will not be able to come under the circumstances." "Look, Amelia, it's just a once-off thing, a little fun for the kids, you know." "Fun?" she snapped. "Wait until your kid is 500 pounds and counting. What's fun about that?" "Look, Mrs. Harris," I said, "let's just agree to disagree. I'm sorry Trevor cannot come, but the kids love the idea about the pizza competition, and it's going to be heaps of fun." You should reconsider Trevor coming. He really would enjoy himself. I could hear Trevor's mother cut me off on the line. There's no pleasing everyone, I thought. This party was already causing me problems. You've always got those mothers who are so politically correct. But what could I do? It was on a Sunday afternoon when we had the birthday party for my son. All the young boys arrived at the party, looking very excited. I have not eaten anything, said a little boy called Tony. I'm going to stuff my face and win the prize, he said, with a sparkle in his blue eyes. No, I'm going to win it, said the other. I've been practicing ever so hard. I laughed at the eagerness of all the participants, and I said, let's get started. I placed large slices of pizza on everyone's plate, and the competition began. It was a thin little boy called Stephen who won the prize of a one-man tent, which he was thrilled with. The boy had managed to guzzle his way through 12 slices of pizza. He stuck out his tongue to prove he had really swallowed it all, and everybody was clapping in delight. The party was going swimmingly, and everyone was having a wonderful time. You could tell by the large volume of excitable voices, laughter and chatter among the children. I watched the kids diving into the pool and others playing Marco Polo in the water. And then I noticed Ethan. He was watching Eric and his friends playing in the pool, and I could see a roguish look developing on his face. He looked as if he was up to no good. I groaned. Oh, no. He's up to something, I thought. Please, God, don't let him ruin Eric's party, just when things are just going so perfectly. I had these hideous visions of him putting a rat on Eric's birthday cake, or piles of salt into the child's Coca-Cola. I knew if I needed to keep tabs on him, so I would watch his movements closely, I thought, so I could stop him bringing on one of his nasty practical jokes that would scare the kids. I also had visions of horrified mothers phoning me after the party, telling me that their child was permanently traumatized for life because of one of Ethan's hideously inappropriate pranks. Oh, there he is, I thought, seeing a large bit of big black fluff hiding behind the girth of our oversized oak tree. I can see you, Ethan, I thought. What's he up to? I watched as he started peeking at the kids, and I could see he was wearing some kind of an ape costume. Oh, no, you don't, I thought, making a sudden dash towards the tree. There he was, standing there in his hideous costume and smelling like he had rolled in the cat's litter. This is not funny, I said, shaking my finger at him, scolding. These practical jokes have got to stop now, do you understand? Eric just stood there with a look of surprise written all over his face. I saw you slouching around with a good-for-nothing look on your face. I knew you were up to something, and I've had more than I can take. Now go and take off that disgusting costume and have a shower while you're at it. You smell quite disgusting. Eric just stood there looking at me and not saying a word. I watched him scurrying away, looking quite guilty and sheepish. Where is he going, I wondered. A few minutes later I saw him again. At least he'd removed the horrible costume, I thought. That would have definitely traumatized the kids. I thought he was talking and laughing with another kid. My word, he really got out of that costume fast. I did not think more about it until the next day. Where did you get that ghastly-smelling ape costume from? I asked him. It almost looked real. What costume? Asked Ethan. The one you were wearing yesterday, when you were hiding behind the big oak tree. Mum, you've lost me, he said. I wasn't wearing any ape costume, nor was I hiding behind any tree. Are you sure? I asked, or are you playing games with me? Of course I'm sure. I think I would know, don't you, if I got dressed up as an ape? For a moment I was spellbound. You're not winding me up, are you? No, Mother, I'm not. Well, who was it that dressed in that ape costume at the party? No one came in fancy dress, Mum, said Eric, listening to the conversation. Are you sure about that? Mum, I think I would know if someone dressed up as an ape, don't you? I was suddenly hit with the realization that the creature I saw hiding behind the tree might have been real after all. I tried to remember what I had seen. The creature had been tall and broad like Ethan. He was at least 6 foot, I thought. He'd been slender and broad-shouldered, just like Ethan again. And come to think of it, he had a shaggy, hairy brown coat that did smell very strongly of cat urine and maybe a bit of skunk as well. I was horrified. Had I been scolding a real-life ape man? Had I encountered the hairy man they call Bigfoot? It was almost impossible to believe. I went back to the drawing board and did some research on Bigfoot, and although the creature was smaller than average, he might have been a juvenile, I thought, which was plausible. I recounted the expression of surprise on the creature's face when I had scolded him. I remember the face looked real, but I just thought it was a quality costume. Why was the creature peeking in on the children, I thought. Maybe as a youngster he was curious. He would have smelt the delicious smells from the pizza oven, I thought, and heard the excited cries of the kids, and yes, the woods was only over the road. I decided to venture into the garden behind the oak tree, and there in the moist brown earth was a single large footprint measuring 18 inches. I now knew for certain I had seen the hairy man we call Bigfoot, and I had only been 1 foot away from his face as I had scolded him. I hope you liked my story. Nina, lovely, lovely story. I hope you believed it, guys. What a wonderful story. Until next time, good night.